Welcome, educators. This is the Educator's Guide to Emotional and Behavioral Challenges.
Hi, I'm Vinny Searcy, and I'm a clinical educator. I've worked in both suburban and urban schools for over 15 years as a school adjustment counselor, school psychologist, and special education administrator. If we can work with you to help improve the classroom setting and include their ability to access the curriculum, then they're going to do better on the standardized tests and the high-stakes testing that's so important in schools today. This is going to help you, help the administrator, and help your school system. But most importantly, it's going to help the student.
It makes me feel like the test's scary. The test is scary, and when I think that test is scary, it makes me remember things that are scary at my house.
Anxious kids often have experienced some kind of trauma in their background, and trauma is different for each person. But be aware of things like when you talk about the death of somebody, the loss of a grandparent, or in a story that you're talking about neighborhood violence, that these could be triggers for the anxious student if this is also fueled by trauma.
Stepdad was drinking too much, and my mom was holding my baby sister, and he pushed both of them downstairs, and I thought they were both going to die, and then it would be just me and my stepdad, and he's kind of mean, so I wouldn't like that. It's really scary.
There are a lot of emotional minefields out there when working with these kids. You're going to step on a few. It's okay. Just remember to go back, work with the student, work with their mental health professional, and develop some interventions that might help you the next time. You're going to get through it, they're going to get through it, and that is a learning experience. But again, be aware that certain topics could be difficult.
A lot of my peers didn't realize that I was having a problem and would tease me about it. And things that otherwise wouldn't be a big deal, like, oh, you're always late to class, or you always seem upset, but not in a concerned kind of way.
Obviously, you want to try to reduce unnecessary stress. Probably the most important piece of this particular kind of intervention is to be aware of bullying. Kids that are anxious are often targets by their very behavior sometimes, and because they're easy marks. Sometimes they're overly aware of how other kids are behaving, and so feel more victimized than maybe you would see. Take this serious, talk to them, talk to the person they're accusing, make sure your administrator is aware, and try to do whatever you can to reduce that negative social interaction.
I'm so nervous about the girls who bully me at school that I feel way too sick to go to school, and I just can't go. My mom tries to make me, but I just feel way too nauseous and weird that I just can't go.
You may not see the bullying behavior, and because the anxious student is particularly sensitive to social issues or put-downs, what you may see is the anxious kid actually retaliating, usually verbally, but sometimes physically, and that's what you have to understand, that you may have to look beyond the actual physical intervention or the physical altercation, and then come back and say, well, what drove this?
It's like, hey, what's up with you? And they're not realizing that I have an issue that they're making worse. They're just trying to make a joke, and what they don't realize is that a joke is a joke when I'm feeling normal, but when I'm anxious, a joke could be, you should kill yourself, or you know, you're terrible. It'll just contribute to that voice inside my head that'll tell me anything that I don't want to hear.
Anxious students, especially younger anxious students, have a very hard time understanding what's happening and putting it to words.
And a lot of times with the students that I have, because they're young, we're at the point of, you're not feeling, you feel, or you help them identify, you know, and it's usually a visual, like 3 or 4, like series of, you know, calm, and then you're escalating to identify where they are and what is going to help them make them feel better. And at first you're teaching them, this is how you feel, or this is how you look right now, this is what you need, and hopefully they can carry that over. Yeah.
Positive behavioral support plan should always include a provision for being able to take a self-directed time out.
Whenever possible, try to work with the student to find out what kinds of activities are calming for them. So when they're experiencing anxiety or stress, you can allow them to go do that. Things such as silent reading, taking a walk, moving to a different area, getting a drink. Those kinds of things can be easily done and helpful in managing the student's anxiety.
I think helping them get their mind off what is getting them upset is important. In my classroom, I created a sensory area that has worked perfectly, because I send them to that area when I see that they're getting anxious, or when I see that they're about to get really upset about something. And it takes their mind off being mad. They don't just go to a corner and sit there by themselves. They have to make a choice, and they follow through with it. They have a time limit in that area, and it can be anything like K'NEX or Play-Doh, and it just takes their mind off being mad. And you can go back to the whole conversation of what was bothering you after they calm down a little bit and they're reasonable in their conversation. But I do think that having that outlet works really well with them.
I know one of your questions is going to be, well, am I going to let them disrupt my class? You know, how many times do I let them get a break? How many times do I let them get a drink? Well, again, depending on the student, it could be a few times that are set up, or it could be as needed. You need to know your students. You need to build a relationship. You need to talk to them about whether or not this is going to be disruptive, how it can be useful for them, but not interrupt what you're trying to accomplish.
Most of the teachers don't even know I'm nervous. Some would even make it worse. But there's this one teacher, and he's awesome. He always makes me feel so much better. Like last week, he gave me a pinwheel because somehow he told that I was nervous. And he gave me this pinwheel, and I made it, which was really cool. And he told me to blow it, and it would blow out all of the things that I was nervous about. And it worked. I don't know how, but it worked, and I felt so much better.
Although an anxious student might not be particularly aware of their body, muscle tension and a general feeling of being keyed up often feeds on the emotional component of anxiety. This is where some well-placed motor breaks can be extremely useful.
Exercise is the most important thing. We take breaks throughout the entire day just to move, and a lot of times we do include academics into it, and they'll spell out their spelling words doing jumping jacks, or we'll do prepositions with movement and stuff like that. And that has made a difference. Having them not sit all day long does help. It's a long day for kids to sit there in one seat and be expected to follow rules all day long, And it's kind of a reinforcement for them because it's a break and they get to goof around kind of and laugh with each other and see the teachers involved with that,